few members, and we're kind of getting the free members in now before we start charging for them. But this is the one meeting we have per week to ask any questions or go over anything that you're looking for help with. And I'd love to be supportive where I can. I will give you a little bit of backstory. So I sold a company last year for $1 million. That was a business I had scaled for 6.5 years. The company is called Twiz. So if you go to twiz.io, that's the company's name. It's still active. And it was a marketing agency. Towards the end, we started to get into building software and also leveraging AI to the degree that it was possible towards the end. It wasn't, as fully ramped as it is even now, but we leveraged it. And so I was able to use that to help sell the company. And so what I'm helping people now with is how can you scale using AI and then sell your business for whatever your goal is. That's what I'm helping people with. So I'm here to, answer any questions you have about anything. So what are you working on?
So, well, and Lucas, thank you so much for that. By the way, can you hear me better now with the mic?
It sounds great.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I just was reading through this. I checked out Twiz, and I found it super interesting. Kind of blew my mind when you wrote that, contrary to what you'd been told, finalizing the deal with your past client was actually very straightforward.
Yeah,
So I found that super interesting.
I'm glad.
So what you described here, and just to back up for a second, I found this because my dream outcome is quite literally this. So I was going to make a school community, and probably still am, on the same topic. Ironically, though, having not exited a company or built a company, I feel like I'm the blind leading the blind if I am to do so. So, I'm kind of like out of my depth on that, but I think building a community around like a shared goal, that's usually a good thing, assuming you're honest, of course, with like, hey, like we're in this together. But having somebody
Yeah.
like you to be a part of your community is extremely helpful. So that's my background right there. I am ADHD entrepreneur,
Mhm.
so I've built a bunch of different things. I'm very heavily into coding. I've been doing a lot of code for the past few years. I've built a bunch of different plugins, and I'm getting to the point now where I've built these different things and I've acquired like one or two users here and there, and most of it's never been really finished or validated as having product market fit. I'm sure you've read the Lean Startup.
Yeah.
So I've been like diving back into that. I've read it a few times because I really have to force myself to practice that feedback loop instead of just having a ball, writing all this software that never ends up seeing the light of day for anybody.
Right.
So that's where I'm at. I have so many great ideas, and a lot of them are like mostly finished. It's just the go-to-market thing that sucks. So yesterday, for example, um, like for me, I'm just working like a day job at a grill, and I absolutely hate it. By the way, I used to work at Samsung and Microsoft in their offices as an AV
Oh, wow.
technician, so I'm no stranger to the tech world. But I sort of like
Yeah.
after COVID, I was like super burned out on the tech world and just kind of like jumped ship and started living the van life and traveling all around,
Love that.
and just kind of like wound up in Oregon somewhere in Central
Yeah.
Oregon, just paying the bills somehow. Um, but where I was going with that is I spent yesterday just like doing cold calls, right? I hadn't really done a lot of cold calls. I think I got through 5. Was super nervous even starting out.
Yeah.
Um, the intention is to start an AI agency because everyone's like, that's a great way to make your
Yeah.
first 10K. Um, Obviously, my goals are way bigger than that, though, and I think my skills are very different than that. So I don't know if another marketing agency is for me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Like I haven't run Facebook ads successfully before, so I'm not like super bullish on selling that as like part of the package. But I could build a voice API all day. But the
Yeah.
HVAC companies I'm calling are like, we don't want you to replace our phone system with an AI.
Mm, that's a really good point. So do you think that your main question that or thing you're looking to solve is to figure out which type of business to build, or Is it to figure out how to get more users for your software product? Where do you think I could be the most helpful for you?
Well, the dream outcome is to build software and then have users actually use it and like show me that they're using it and give feedback,
Yeah,
help me find product market fit. I'm much more interested in that than starting a marketing agency or
I
doing
love
cold
that.
calls.
So I'll give you the backstory of what I did with my own products that helped me sell the business. So I launched after about 5.5 years. And if at any point my connection is bad, just let me know. I'll find somewhere else to go. But after 5.5 years, launched my own product. This was when Bubble.io was the only real big tool to use to build software outside of traditional development. So I got really into Bubble. I built a product called agencygo.io. So it's it's still live. So if you go to agencygo.io, you can see
Okay.
they actually ended up merging that into my other business, Twiz. So I don't know what they're doing with it now. Last time I checked, they actually aren't running it anymore, but you can see screenshots from it and also the general premise. This was years ago now. I mean, 3 years ago now when we were running it. But at that time, I had been able to grow it as a package of selling it as a software people could use and also a membership. And that bundle was what increased the value because I was teaching people how to grow their marketing agencies. They had access to the software that I built, and then the software was meant to help them grow their marketing agencies faster. And so it was this community that's centered around one thing, which was growing your marketing agencies. And it helped us establish a niche. We grew that to $32,000 a month as like a membership software thing. They got both. They got access to the community we had, and they got access to software for $97 a month. And we then grew it. I made some missteps where I tried to change the direction of the software, even though everyone loved the previous version of the software. So that's one lesson is if people like something, sometimes it's not a good idea to change it.
Yeah.
The second thing is after that experience, after I sold the business and included that in the sale, I then spent about 50 grand over the last 12 months. So since around like March, April of 2024, building a new product, which is called menloiq.com. And that is a AI referral tool helping people get more referrals from their partners, very similar to what the last product actually did. And I actually had paying users. We were able to grow it. And this time, though, I was trying to grow it just as a software, not bundling anything together. No membership, no courses, no community. So we grew that to about $1,000 a month in just a few months after launch. And we had momentum. But the problem was we had built too many features. And obviously, simultaneously, everything with Lovable and all these other tools are coming out now. So we got some feedback from our users that they could use the software, but it was too robust. So I've pivoted since then into a different direction and have actually, we're finishing up the final versions of it right now based on the public feedback we got. And we're making it very simple. So I actually removed about 90% of the features from the application. And it's just so simple and measurable. And it's experimental because I have everything set up to where I can see users going through, see their analytics, and can actually just run an experiment. So when I'm done with this stage of development, I'm actually just going to sit on it and market it for a month and not do anything and just accumulate feedback. And once I get enough feedback from people, then go and do the next version. But keeping it super simple is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So really, it's just one feature right now. It's just one feature. I combed it down from 12 to 15 different features to just one feature. And I think that is what will help.
And that's really fascinating. How did you make that decision? Because that's sort of the pivot or persevere step in the Eric Ries lean startup formula or framework, right? So
Yeah.
how did you like get the data? You're like, I just need one feature. And I'm still here. I got to plug in my laptop.
No, you're good.
I can hear you.
So the reason it worked well for me was because it actually coincided with a pretty big personal shift in my life where I started to think. I stopped overthinking basically, and overthinking got me pretty far in my last business, but in product it's deadly to do too much, to think too much. Simplicity is actually key for product building from everything that I've seen, everyone I've talked to. So for me, it actually was more of a gut decision than a logical one. And so far, it's turned out to be seemingly the right decision, but we'll find out in a few days once we launch it. So I don't know how it will go, but I do know that the initial indications are that it is better to do it that way. Um, I do know what you're talking about with the lean startup.
Yeah.
I will say too, in the past, I think I just liked when I built a product, seeing people. I liked the feeling of building something that someone asked for. The problem is when you build something that someone asks for, once you get a lot of users, they're going to ask for different things. And if you're just building things constantly without having your own editorial guidance, then you end up with certain parts of the software that aren't perfect. They might have a bug here or there. The problem is now, and this is, I think, contrary to popular belief, once you get out of that phase where you've gotten some feedback from people, it's become so easy to build software now that you actually want to make it perfect, at least that version of it. So you might release something that has some bugs just to show people, get their feedback, and that's good thinking, and that's honestly aligned with the lean startup method. But once you actually
Right.
get that put together, you should make it work perfectly, because users don't care if you're a startup. They want to use the software for their own purposes. So in order to make something run perfectly as a startup, you need to make it very simple, because when you have more features, it's harder and harder. So the rule of thumb that I used is, and what I've gotten from my advisors and even an early investor who's coming in with the company, is anything that doesn't work perfectly at this stage, just hide it from the software. Don't even make it something that people can use.
I like
That
that
way
a
they
lot.
have a flawless experience, you know?
Yeah, I am a kind of person where I've been using software since I was like 12 years old, and like I can see the software in my head like when I sleep. And my long-term goal, because of my love of software and video editing, I was a semi-famous animator on YouTube. During COVID, I scaled from 0 to 200,000 subscribers, making these like funny meme cartoons that were like Web3 and crypto. You've probably seen them. They trended all over YouTube, especially during 2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
But YouTube makes it terribly hard to monetize. And being that I was the writer, director, producer, sound designer, color artist, lead animator, everything,
Yeah.
it wasn't sustainable, right? So I ended up kind of pivoting out of that. But I have a dream for like after I've had my first exit and I have the liquid capital
Right.
and I'm able to start a new project. My dream project is to finish. I started forking Caden Live, which is an open source video editor. It's the best one. I want to rebuild Adobe's infrastructure because they they did it right when it came to this certain set of problems that I faced making my content. And I had thousands of people asking me all the time, Dustin, how do you make your videos? I didn't really want to sell them a course because the answer is like 15 years of practice,
Yeah.
tons of hard work, 70 hours to make one video. There was no magic solution. But with AI, there could be. And Adobe is not, they don't know about this niche. They don't know about this workflow, despite the fact that their software is the only one that actually enables it. So long term, that's kind of like my personal vision, is to be able to go back to creatively expressing my sense of humor and my ideas through my art. But that's down the road when I'm able to, when I have the resources, because I've looked at the cost and it's massive, and I'm going to need a whole team. It's not something that I can do myself. So right now, my goal is to get to the point where I have some kind of software startup that I can grow and exit. And my biggest question for you, Lucas, is how do you go about doing the marketing side of things? What does it look like on a day-to-day basis? Does it cost many thousands of dollars to market your software? I mean, for me, I'll be honest, don't have tons of money sitting around to do that, and I'm just looking for ways to get like my first few users to try my software and give me feedback.
Yeah, it's a great question. So nowadays with Upwork, it's easier than ever to find somebody who can help you as a general assistant for $8 an hour or less. And they're usually really, really, really good. So I posted a job on Upwork because in my last company, we had about 50 team members when we sold. They were playing different roles. We had 8 full-time people, and then who are like on W-2. And then we had a bunch of contractors who did different things. And so I had the opportunity to learn from them and from that process that we built out how to hire the right people. And so what I've learned now is it's even easier than it was then to find somebody on Upwork. What I would do on Upwork is I would find an assistant, $8 a month or an hour or less, start them off at 5 hours a week max, because you can cap it on Upwork. So you're paying max $160 a month, and focus on having them clone you. So what people usually make the mistake of is when they're making marketing content, they think they need to have a person to help with everything for the entire marketing process. For example, if they're making video content, they might think, I need a video editor to make the content for me. The problem is, if you're specialized like that, you charge more money, even if you're offshore. So my video editors are $15 an hour. It's double what my assistant costs. The thing is, at this stage in my content, because last month I got about 160,000 views, so it wasn't huge, but it was on LinkedIn, so it was a good market for getting people who are actually in my demographic and get them converting into various things like an email newsletter, etc. The thing that I realized was that I actually don't need a super well produced video to get their attention. I just need to have a process that works for me that I can replicate in a straightforward way with my assistant. So what I've done is I have specialists on the side who I have hired who can be used in very specific situations. But my assistant's job is to do the tasks that I'm doing in the exact same way that I'm doing them. And what I think about when I think about marketing my software, or really any kind of marketing, is once I could do it successfully for the first time myself, I then go to Loom, free video recording tool. I record me going through the process. I take the transcript, which I think they actually charge for. I think that might be $18 a month to get the transcript. There's ways to get around that if you want to export the
Yeah, I just
video.
use Whisper API.
Yeah, there's a lot of other ones. You want to be able to have it do a screen share, though. That's very important because then they can see the process. So whatever allows you to do that. Once you do that, you could take that transcript, you could put it into ChatGPT or any tool, any LLM, and you just ask it to create an SOP, standard operating procedure, a workflow for them to follow exactly. Then you create an SOP library listing out every single thing that they need to do to copy you. Then you use ClickUp, which is free, or any project management tool you want. They're all free for the most part to start off with. And you just assign them tasks and you reference that SOP and you say, watch this SOP and do this exact thing. So for video content, what we've been doing is I will go into the software that I use called Capwing. And I chose Capwing because it has a free trial and the tools like Descript or, well, Descript I'm not sure about actually, but CapCut specifically, they don't have a really good collaboration feature. And
Yeah. Hey, can I ask a question? Sorry to interrupt.
yeah,
It's because like when it comes to the weeds of all of this, like we had a huge audience and people didn't know it, like absolutely. But I'm very familiar with all these little tools. I'm curious
okay,
about like your strategy. So
okay.
when you're marketing these things, is it like is your primary vehicle to get the word out about your website, your product, which in this case is Menlo IQ. Is that right? Is this mostly for Menlo IQ?
Yeah.
Is it like you're making a video content like webcam or whatever, and you're just talking about it, and then your assistant basically posts that on all your different platforms, and it's just all organic, just yapping, talking, just making noise.
Yeah, it's two things. So one, it's enough volume for people to see you as relevant, because the more you do something, the more people tend to gravitate towards it. It's a way to grab attention, mostly because most people are too scared to post really frequently at all. They think they're oversharing. So the easiest hack is to just post more because everyone else is scared to do it. The second thing is you want to find that point where it's both valuable and helpful, especially with business type content, and also something you can do frequently. So I learned from a guy called Stephen Pope, who has a company called My Amazon Guy, and they're a $10 million per year company. And what he taught me, and all this public, you could go on his website and his YouTube and you can see it. But he taught me that to promote any kind of product, you just need to be putting out tutorials every single day. If it's a business audience, right? If it's a business audience where it's education based, you can have business content that's entertainment based. But if it's a tool that you're selling, educational content usually works very well. And the easiest way to get people to convert to something, if you don't have a lot of authority, like you haven't sold a company or you haven't done X, Y, or Z, is to just teach them stuff in a particular area that relates to your business. So in whatever you want to build next, I would just say, don't even overthink it. Just consistently put out content, even if you think the content is trash, because most of the time it's just your brain telling you that and overthinking. It's not actually the reality.
Right. Okay. This has been so helpful, Lucas, because I'm all over the place. I'm like doing cold calls to HVAC companies I've never talked to. I'm like trying to make YouTube videos. I'm also vibe coding my app. I'm also trying to start this YouTube channel. And I'm just like, what do I do? And so what I'm hearing is that I should focus on just marketing my product because I actually have built My idea, which I think is the greatest thing ever, don't know yet, but I
Yeah.
would love to just make tutorials about it and yap
Mhm.
online, hire an assistant to just replicate my voice, um, and just stop doing all the stuff myself. Personally, and you can tell me what you think of this. The thing that I built, it's like a svelte, it's a flow like a vibe coder, like a low code agent builder. Like there's so many of these, but
Mhm.
my thing isn't an agent builder. What it is a chat bot. So it's just like ChatGPT, but it's like every ChatGPT like tab like in your browser is just like
Yeah.
in the flow. So you can take little wires and like plug messages into each other and also
Mm.
add additional context. And I'm adding like little bells and whistles, like how much of the context have you used, like the ability to um, I'm trying to think of the feature I added recently, but oh yeah, like the voice, because I hate
Yeah.
all of the voice apps, and of course the target market here is people like me. I chat with AI like for 4 to 5 hours a day, and I've been doing that for years. I'm just
Mhm.
obsessed with it. But I'm not like one of these people who wants to like fantasy role play with the AI. That's
Yeah.
not what I'm doing. I'm about like how do I grow my business? How do I like implement a marketing strategy? Um, and one of the other features that I saw that's been really successful with Poppy AI is they also have the similar web UI layout where it's like a canvas, but
Yeah.
they made it so that you can paste in a YouTube link and it'll just like yoink all of the transcript and you can just start like plugging that into things, which I think
Right.
is genius because
Yeah.
like for example, I watched an Alex Hormozy video. It's like 49 minutes of, how to grow your company so fast it feels illegal. And it's just like all the most genius stuff. And like you listen to it and you're like, great, hope I'm going to remember how to do all of this and then actually apply it, right? But
Yeah.
what if you had like a full document that's plugged into your chat window, and then you've got the video that's plugged into your chat window, and that document of context actually explains like exactly where you are in your business. Then you got another one that what's your daily routine and what your time
Yeah.
schedule is, and it could just read the context from the video, read your business, read when you have time to actually execute, and tie it all together. And it tells you, here's what you do at 4 p.m. You're going to do this, and here's why, and just like really concrete steps to help someone like me who wants to start a company. And I've got all this ADHD and all this stuff, and just
Yeah.
really make it concrete. So that's kind of my vision for this.
Yep. All really valid points. So when you said what your software did, the first thing I thought of was this software called N8N. Are you familiar with
Yeah,
N8N?
very familiar with NADN.
Which is great because what I would recommend you do is make content about N8N because it might seem like, well, people are just going to use N8N over my software if I make content. But if you make tutorials about N8N for people to use, then they're likely going to be already people who are going to want to use your software because they're already interested in that kind of thing. And they'll use your software for a couple different reasons. One, N8N doesn't have a free tier, so you could do like a freemium thing. They only have like a paid version. Two, you could win because certain things that they offer are different than yours. So even though someone might use N8N, they might use yours as well. So I would do that. And there's a million topics you could discuss about N8N that could keep you going forever. So I would do that. I
It's
would
kind
make
of like when people on blogs, like you're starting some kind of a SaaS, and so you SEO or rank your like this competitor versus all these other competitors, and then like
yeah.
at the very end, it's like, oh, by the way, here's what we do,
Yeah.
like, and it works. Like I've never
Yeah.
done that, but I assume it works because people keep doing it.
I would
And for
do
me, yeah, go ahead.
I would do one. I would challenge yourself. Do one YouTube post a day. It could be on like a different channel. I think you said you had one before. If it's irrelevant to your users, then do like a new channel or something. Do one a day. You could probably even do a post on your own old channel and just say, hey, like if anyone's ever interested in this, I started a new channel specifically for this kind of thing. So you could do that. Challenge yourself to do it once per day. Don't even think about the views. Just ignore it. The guy, Steven, he never even edited his videos. I do some light editing just because I have a certain way I want to look. but he just did it in one take. And if you go to his YouTube channel, most of his videos are not getting any views really, but he gets hundreds of meetings booked a month from YouTube for his agency. And he was ranked on the Inc. 500. So all this is public information. So if you go look him up, like my Amazon guy, Inc. 500 or whatever, you'll find him on there.
It's
So
Stephen Pope.
Stephen Pope. Yeah. So his views aren't very good, but he gets so many people coming from YouTube because those are the highly engaged right kind of people. So I would make one video a day. Don't even think about it. Just put it out there and make it about something that you're either actively working on with N8N to use or something that you have to learn, and then you just record the process of you learning while you're actually doing the tutorial. So you learn it, you implement it, and you don't say you're learning it. You just go through the process and walk through it and just say, here's how you do it. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, that's funny. I actually am subscribed to Stephen Pope. Actually, I know who you're talking about.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, he's a really smart dude, and he figured out how to do that. And his advice to me was post all the time everywhere. So if you follow his social, he'll have the most random posts about Amazon and sometimes his personal life. But he came from the news background. He was a news reporter. So his thing was, I just want to be 24/7 in people's faces. And that's his advantage, is he doesn't care. He's just as helpful as possible, 24/7, and he turns his brain off. He doesn't overthink it. And he doesn't care if the quality is interstellar. He just wants to get it in front of people.
Right. So, Lucas, I'm curious what your take is on this. I'm very inspired by this conversation, and I think the path forward, and this is my question is my path forward to like finish the sort of minimum viable product that I've been working on, which I discussed earlier, and then just go into just full marketing mode, and how much of that minimum viable product should I finish? I'm not sure how technical your background is. Like, should I finish my Stripe integration? I have the boilerplate code. Should I finish making multiple workspaces so people can actually log in and use it? My stack right now is Fast API, PostgreSQL, and Svelte. It's pretty straightforward. I have user login and user authentication. I just have to I have like another week probably of tweaks to make before everything I've discussed is actually a working product.
How much of it is perfect?
Like 10%,
Hide
maybe
90%.
50.
Okay, hide 50% of it.
Okay, I like that a lot. For right now, yeah, I think what I need to do is just focus on like the really core stuff. Like, can a user actually make an account? Is it set up so that they can have their own workspace in which to create their nodes, and then hide anything that's not complete.
Yeah, and I'm very similar to you, by the way. That's actually been my same struggle because I would go into these builder rabbit holes. And the reason I was misguided was because in my last company, when I launched the product, people used the software, but they weren't actually signing up only for the software. They were signing up for the community. So it was actually rewarding my bad practices, because my practices were telling me, oh, just go build a bunch of stuff and it's obviously working. So, but what was actually happening was people were only using a few features and they weren't using anything else. And it was only growing so fast because they wanted to learn how to grow their agency. So it was actually a combo of value, which is not a bad strategy. Actually, it's a great growth strategy. And it's actually what I'm doing again with my community now. But if you're actually trying to build a real software product, you can't think like that because it has to actually work all the time and be flawless. So I had to completely change my mentality. So I think for you, ask yourself, what is flawless? And then just release what is flawless. And everything else, hide it, make it inaccessible, because you've already built it. So if people want those features, you can release them one by one. You don't need to release them all at once. And the thing is, it's like baking a cake. If you put too much salt in the cake, it's going to taste like shit. So you need to actually make everything taste good. So you have to have the right proportions. You can't have anything that's bad. What MVP is to me, now that I've really learned all this, is minimum testable product, meaning it actually can be fully analyzed. You can see all of the traffic. It works perfectly. You set up tracking to see where people are falling off in the funnel. You have a dashboard to view the analytics, every single step, and you can run A/B tests. That's a more appropriate version nowadays because all those things are easy to set up and you don't have to keep building. So I'd cut out 50% and I would just focus on that, build a dashboard that actually is for your internal purposes, and then run it as if it's a science experiment. And then don't even build any new features until you know that the current features are actually what people want.
Right, right. What you said about just like cutting out anything that's not finished, like that is exactly the mentality I would use to make viral, funny videos. Like exactly the same thing. Because I would build out this huge storyline and I would wind up with all these unfinished scenes. And then I would get into like the final 3 days or week, and I'm like, my audience needs me to post. You know how YouTube is. I'm gonna have to delete like 90% of this video and just hone in on it. And I always would think of it like a firecracker. Because with a firecracker, if there's air pockets or like it's not packed tightly enough, it's not gonna bang, it's not gonna explode, right? So I'd always think of it that way. It's like, how can I get the maximum amount of mimetic humor into a 2-minute thing where it's just gonna get 1 million views in the first 3 weeks, which happened multiple times, right? Like I was going like crazy viral frequently.
Wow.
So yeah, I understand that exact mentality, and I love that you're helping me apply that to finishing this product. My only other question when it comes to that is, what do you mean by funnel? Because I've used funnel builders like ClickFunnels. I've been diving into Go High Level for the past like month. I'm very familiar. I made a couple thousand on Kajabi, but so like, are you saying to use like, because I do my deployment on Render, so I deploy on Render. It's like an AWS wrapper, and so are you saying like should I have a I guess, do you recommend having like app dot blah 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 as the app, and then just having like the primary URL as the landing page, and then that's going to be connected to like Kajabi or ClickFunnels or whatever landing page builder you want to build out in?
Luckily, I actually just posted a video on this. So if you go to my YouTube, I have a whole tutorial where I break down. It's not super long, so it'll be pretty straightforward, but goes through what I just did to set up this website, which is aiexit.club, which I'll put in the chat. That's the sort of home landing page for this community that I'm building, and I'm positioning Menlo as a tool within that community and using the community to grow the tool like I did in the past. And I will say that you mentioned something around going viral all the time for funny videos. I would actually say the strategy I just gave you does work with doing tutorials. But honestly, I would lean into what you're already good at, frankly. For me, community building is what I'm good at. I know how to ramp up. In my last community, we had about like 500, 600 paying members. They're paying like $97 a month. So that's why I'm growing it this way. There's some people who grow purely from blog content. There's some people who grow from webinars only or something. If you already know how to go viral with and get millions of views on funny videos, just do corporate humor or something related to what you're building, and you'll get way more traction and way more signups than doing tutorials.
Yeah, I'll have to figure out how to do that. I'm pretty jaded like when it comes to that, because like my previous channel was like all like animation. So it's like also YouTube demonetized that channel. I've had a bunch of problems with that channel, so I don't plan on doing that. But I hear what you're saying though in terms of like adding humor into it. I think that would work. I don't think I'm going to be able to like explode the way that I previously did making tutorials like this. It could happen, but yeah.
Let me give you this guy's LinkedIn for some inspo. This Ethan NG is his name, and he actually is capturing a lot of my attention from his posts right now. And it's just silly content a lot of the times. So it's something to think about, but just as a reminder, essentially, that it doesn't need to be always about being helpful. What people really care about more than anything right now is rawness, authenticity, and just if you're capturing their attention or helping them in some way. So for me, that's why I don't really think too much about the quality of my content, because everything's becoming AI. So if anything, people want to know that you're real, and to show someone you're real nowadays is actually just to show them that your content looks like shit, because
Yeah.
overproduced, it might be AI.
Yeah, that's so funny how that's changed.
Yeah.
By the way, which one of your YouTube videos did you say kind of focuses on the marketing funnel for
Yeah.
your an AI product
Let me
work?
grab that. It may be coming out actually in a few hours. Let me double check. So, oh, here we go. So I just posted this one. It's how to build a high converting landing page with AI. And so my toolkit is Lovable. I used because Lovable, I would say, is probably the best for building high converting landing pages right now. It's just so easy to use. It does cost money because after you get the initial credits to build, you can blow through those pretty quickly. But honestly, if you want, I mean, I might actually. I was thinking about leaving my my funnel open for people to remix, because I already put in all that time. So then you could just remix it in Lovable, which means just clone it and then use it for yourself. I have to figure out the right way to do it. But I was thinking about doing that just so people can use it for themselves.
Okay, on that note, Lucas, what are your thoughts on Lovable, as in using it for marketing? I guess it maybe would help if I told you my thoughts, because I haven't used Lovable yet. I use like Bubble, I've used like N8N. N8N is not a website builder, but what I'm saying is that I did go through the process of trying to build my own like CRM shit, where I had like an email integration and like all of the stuff that you would want for having like systems wise for following up with leads and converting them with email sequences. I built that on my own Fast API, and then I realized that I was an idiot and I should not be trying to do that because it's so complicated, and people like
It is.
ClickFunnels
Yeah.
and Kajabi have already built out these extremely advanced systems that are already designed to do all of this. So is Lovable, like, do they have built-in tools to do things like measure conversions, run split tests, and all the marketing bells and whistles?
It's a great question. So I actually decided I'm moving everything over to Lovable, even my menloiq.com website. And the reason why is because ClickFunnels is not ideal, in my opinion, for building a website. It's great for landing pages, right? So what that typically means is, because I used ClickFunnels in my last software, end company. What it usually means is you're usually running it on a subdomain, which is totally fine. But what ends up happening is there's not like this unified user experience where everything is working together. I personally like that at this stage of my development. I think that if I can get everyone in one website, it's going to do a couple things. One, it's going to help my SEO a lot when it comes to ranking. Two, I only have to look at one Hotjar account to see all my user activity and tracking, as opposed to switching between different views on Hotjar. So these are like very minutia things for me. I like to have everything, all the lead magnets, all the resources, all the perks in one place. And if you go to the aiexit.club website, you'll see how I'm setting it up and kind of how everything is in one. It's all on the same www dot. It's not on a subdomain. So, but I did have to burn through like 60 to 100 credits on Lovable, which is like $25 to actually set all that up. Now, if I let you guys remix this, then you wouldn't have to actually do it all from scratch. So I might actually do that. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do it. But I think that ClickFunnels is great if you don't really care and you want to just set it up as a subdomain about the same things that I care about, which are kind of more minutia. I wouldn't say it really matters. But usually from an SEO perspective, if you're trying to rank for different things, you want to typically be all in the same domain and not on a subdomain of the website. We did a lot of SEO for my last company, and that's kind of how I know this. So it's going to be helpful in the long run to have everything on one subdomain. But I would say if that's not the main goal right now, I would probably use something like ClickFunnels, or ConvertKit is really good.
Yeah.
I'd actually recommend ConvertKit probably over ClickFunnels.
Okay. Yeah, I would probably go with that over ClickFunnels too, because ClickFunnels and Go High Level are just, they add so many things I don't think I really need here.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, we're kind of coming to the end of the hour. Maybe you could give me some advice on like on that stack in terms of like what does someone actually need to, like, in terms of marketing front end, like what's the must-haves? Because you mentioned split testing earlier. You're mentioning SEO now. Those make a lot of sense. But like, is there anything else? Maybe like email follow-ups. We need SMS. Like,
yeah. So with Agency Go, I created like a 30-step email campaign where they would get a new email every single week for like 30 weeks in a row. It is useful actually. People do go through that. So if you want to have like maximum retention, you could just put people through that funnel, and you could build out a really long email retention funnel. But the thing is, I think for starters, you should actually follow this guy. Do you know? You probably know him because of what you said you are interested in at the beginning, is like the whole AI agency thing. Do you know Nick Sarave?
yeah, I just started going into his stuff this week.
I was going to his stuff too, because when I built my content based product, Agency Go, which was like a piece of Twiz, the larger business, I honestly didn't think I could get it to $300,000 a month. I didn't think it could get that big. And his just blew me away that he was able to get to $300,000 a month. We got it to $30,000, and I was thinking this is really good, but he got to $300,000 a month just completely from doing this whole content thing. So I actually did a little bit of a deep dive on him as well. So on my YouTube, if you want, you could go and see that video as well, where it kind of breaks down his process. I would just do his process, man. I basically I value companies right now online based on their profit margins and how fast they were able to grow without spending a lot of money on marketing. And from what I'm seeing, his is probably the best case I've seen for growing without spending a lot on marketing and having insanely high margins. The way he does it, from everything I've dug into, is he has tons of lead magnets. And he makes lead magnets out of things that aren't even that like spectacular. It's not like he's spending hundreds of hours making this lead magnet. All he's doing is taking his top performing posts and just turning them into lead magnets and making them longer. And he gets people to follow him, to comment on his posts, to convert just by having a lead magnet. And he uses ConvertKit to basically drive people to a landing page, which he creates on ConvertKit, just gets their email address. Then afterwards, he gets them to join his community, or has like a page to join the community, sends them an email with the PDF to download, and then that's his process. And he does that all the time. It's just like lead magnet after lead magnet. On top of that, I don't think it's a coincidence that the same process that helps Stephen Pope go to $10 million a year is the exact same process that he uses. Because he talks about posting one video a day when he started off, just with tutorials. So I don't think that's a coincidence. I think this is the way to get traction right now for the most profitable startups.
Yeah, it really does seem that way. Yeah, I just made my first tutorial on my new channel. But I think I'd done some in the past, but the first like tech related one, and it's just like it's like 30 minutes, and it's just like how to deploy your fast API on render.com. So
Yeah.
very just like practical, but sounds like volume, just like doing it again and again and again is like the number one thing.
Exactly right. It is. And I think there is really no limit to the amount of content you could post online. It's more about, can you pick an amount that you know you can stick with? So for me on LinkedIn, I post twice a day on weekdays, and then once a day on weekends. And then I'm posting one YouTube video a day. I'm going to ramp that up even more and start doing Twitter and all these other things. But that's something I've been able to stick with. So I think for you, just keep pushing until you find an amount you can stick with, and just do that amount, because it's going to be easy to think you have to just put out so much content. But what matters more for people to convert, really, because everyone says the algorithm, but really at the end of the day, the algorithm is just a proxy for human behavior. So what human beings like is consistency. They want to see that you're continuing to put stuff out and that you're still relevant. So that's what's going to get them to buy from you, is consistently putting out content.
Right. Cool. Well, dude, this has been so helpful. I'm about to hop off, but yeah, thank you so much. Also, I wanted to mention something, which is how I found you today. Like, I literally was just like 5 minutes before I joined this call, I was just like browsing through communities on school, and of the different communities that I saw, I think the reason that yours caught my eye is when you explained that you had an exit and you had taken like $500,000 in profits. You sold for $1 million. You had a business partner. That story and that evidence was probably what made you stand out. Because ironically, you know, I was talking about starting my own community, but I'm personally looking for community with someone who actually has done it. So I think like in the content that you make on YouTube, especially, I haven't watched it yet, but I'm sure you've seen Alex Hormozi enough to know like the opening hooks are so critical, and then who you are is so critical. So whatever you're doing, make sure that you keep leading with that hook, because people, that perks their ears up.
I love that. Well, thank you. And I will say I'm always looking for new partners to grow the community. So maybe there's an opportunity there. We can work together on this one. But if you want, I mean, feel free to hop on in. I'm doing it. I'm actually using the same strategy that Nick Sarav did, which was to make it free for the first 20 people and then just keep ratcheting up the price, which is actually what I did for Agency Go too. We started off as free, and then we moved it up and just incrementally kept increasing the price as more members join. So for anyone who's watching this, I'll be posting this on my YouTube as well, is I'll just put the link in the comments or on the screen. And if, or it becomes paid, and we're going to be doing these every week, like these AMAs. So you can join and ask any questions, or we can workshop things together. I mean, honestly, Dustin, I'd love to see the product launched like next week. It'd be cool to, I could go through and help you build some things on the call.
Yeah. My thing, what I'll do this next week is just like tidy up, compress the firecracker, make sure there's no, unfinished stuff. And then probably next discussion, we'll go over the product, and next weekend talk about marketing and make sure that I can head into next week full blast.
100%. Well, thanks, man. And I really appreciate it. I'll give you the link to join here. And I think actually, oh, you already did.
Yeah.
You already in. You're in Redmond? Is that right? Because
I'm in Redmond, Oregon. Yes. How did you know?
I think it says, I didn't know you're in Redmond, Oregon. I actually thought you were in Redmond, Washington, because there's a Redmond, Washington that's near me. So.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Pacific Northwest gang.
Yeah, I know. I grew up here, so I'm visiting my family right now. But I live in Los Angeles, and it's I love it down there. So.
Okay, cool.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you. We'll talk soon, and best of luck with everything.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Talk to you later. Bye.